Last night I got back from the toy fair at Germany, and one of my prize acquisitions was this Tiger Models IDF Nagmachon. This has only just been released in the Far East, and this is one of the first samples that were brought over by one of the importers. Now, I was really pleased to get hold of this. They're not supposed to give us anything at the fair, but as it was knocking down, it saved them having to take it back home with them. So what have we got? Well, the box art is stunning. It really looks interesting, particularly like the large Israeli flag. Unfortunately, that is not included in the box. And the large sensor on the top, which looks like R2-D2. Here we have the accessories pack. Now this includes the wire for the tow ropes, some nice etched brass, the decal sheet, and the polycaps for holding the wheels on. Now you'd normally think that the polycaps being black on black might not stand out so much, but Tiger Models have actually put them over a piece of silver film so you can actually see where the polycaps are. Silly, but quite nice. Now this is a really needed bit of protection. The Doghouse is moulded with some support stays already on it. They will be incredibly fragile unless they were supplied in this rather nice protective box. You can see them sticking out inside it. That is actually really nice. So we'll pull that out and you can have a look and you'll see what I mean. They're on all sides, and they do actually stick out quite a long way. So would be very vulnerable to damage. Here we have the clear parts. Now these are moulded in colour. To the right you have the turquoisey bluey green, which is used in the Doghouse. And to the left you have exactly the same sprue, but this part you're actually going to be using the lower parts, which are the periscope lenses. And they do have all their frames moulded, so you just paint around them and you'd get this reddish tint. Not so sure about that one. I will play with it and see what it looks like on once it's painted behind. It looks a bit too reddish to me at the moment, but that might change once you've put the external paint coat on. If you don't like either of these two parts, you also get exactly the same sprue in clear plastic, enabling you to tint it yourself with something like Alclad Armoured Colour or the Tamiya Clear range of paints. Here we have the main tub. As you can be seen, it's quite large, quite strong, beautifully cast. One problem, but I can actually see there's some internal detail moulded in on the inside wall. Not quite sure what that's about. It's the opposite side to the driver's position. Obviously at some point something is going to go in there, so I wonder if there's going to be another version to come. So you have got lots of these internal mounting pipes for bulkheads which aren't actually included in this kit, so we'll have to see what's going to come for that, but obviously they are planning on doing something else internally with this whole base. Now the one thing I will say is everywhere I look on this plastic kit there is beautiful detail, clear casting mouldings. You know, there's no flash, it's a new tool, it just looks wonderful. There's one thing in particular I was very impressed with on this one, which is the headlight guards. On many kits they will get you to fold these rather complicated shapes out of bits of brass. They're actually up here, I'll zoom in on them in a moment, and these are absolutely beautiful. So as you can see, you have the headlight guards already moulded in place. Okay, some might say they're a bit thick, but for me, who's a bit more of an amateur modeller, I think these will do more than adequately. Of course, I'm sure in due course we will have lots of etched brass for this kit. Clear lenses are supplied on the clear sprues, and they come complete with the representation of the LEDs that are behind some of these. So paint silver, drop in a clear lens, and away you go. Now there are a number of separate multiple sprues of individual components, mostly to do with the undersides. Here we have the wheels with their separate tyres, which will make painting a bit of a doddle, and the suspension parts. There's also the tracks. They are separate link. They're made in a stronger plastic, different from the rest, but I'm going to look at those at the very end. So I'll come to those at the very end of the review and you'll see why then. Now this sprue is quite significant for a number of reasons. For starters, this is the first one that we've looked at which has actually got the slat armour. We can see it here. it is very nicely done. Lots of attachment points, so they should be quite strong. You're going to need something like a set of Xuron cutters to remove these or saw them away. There's also a couple of unusual ideas on this sprue. The first one is this long flat section, which I'll zoom in on. And now that is because that is that droid looking device on the top, which has loads of optical windows all the way around a circular arrangement, and this is flat. What you actually are supposed to do here, the reverse side is segmented, and it actually folds around a circular jig to give you the correct shape. Yeah, it looks quite easy to do. We'll have to wait and see how it looks when we finish the model. Another issue on here is, again, quite nice, is the grenade launchers. These are actually, you get two ways of doing the grenade launchers at the front. These are smoke grenades. You have this version, which has the actual launcher covers revealed. And we'll just have a quick look. I'll find it in a moment, and we'll look at the one that's got the canvas covers. So here we have the canvas covers. Now there's two of these smoke launchers, one on each side of the tank, and of course these are identical. You get four all identical. But of course what you could do is mould one way, reverse it, and do one the other way, and that will make them look slightly different. Of course you could just resculpt it using some tissue paper. Choice is yours. Now this rather unusually shaped piece, this is the bottom part of the doghouse. So we have the doghouse on top of it, and then this is the lower section. Most of this is actually covered with equipment or armoured slabs, so you won't actually see this bit. There is no internal detail on this model, as is now. As I said, the inside of the hull does show a little bit, moulded on the wrong side for the driver's position, but I do wonder if we are going to have a version with an interior due to the way there's some support mounts inside for parts that aren't included in the kit. We also know there is going to be a version produced without the doghouse. Now we will come to that because we know that Hobby Boss have announced 3 versions of the Nagmachon, and I am wondering if we'll actually see this kit in a Hobby Boss boxing, maybe in the future, and with other variations without the slat armour and with the open top version of the Nagmachon. But I've no information on that. There was no one from Hobby Boss at the Toy Fair who could confirm, and they had nothing on display. But, you know, we'll just have to watch this space later in 2016. And here we have another multi-part sprue. We get 2 of these, mostly concerning, again, to do with the drive wheels and the associated suspension. You have got some very nice detail moulded on here again. I'll go try and zoom in on the machine gun in particular, which seems to be very nicely done. That actually does look quite good. We just need drilling out. One other thing. This frame, now I remember building the Legends Nagmachon. You had to shape this, it was a nightmare. Now this gives it to you in plastic. I might well be considering replacing some of these parts with Albion tubing, just for strength, but certainly this base part of the frame would look absolutely okay as is. Now here we have the upper hull and the large side block armour. Again, we have a good level of detail on here. You know, under a wash this will really pick out. There's no trace of any anti-slip. I'm not actually sure you had any on this. I can't see any on the photos. You do get the eyelets for chains. The chain is included for when these get shot off, I think. So yeah, and there you go, there's some of the block armour. And again, another one of that part of that frame. So all good. Really, really looking forward to getting started on this kit. Instructions, very Tamiya is my first thought. When I first saw it, they really do look like a Tamiya set of instructions. You have a separate colour sheet for the one marking option. That supplies colour call-offs in both the Tamiya paint range and AK Interactive's range. It does say on the sheet that the AK Interactive range is preferred due to the accuracy of the colours, but that is not available everywhere, so the inclusion of Tamiya, certainly that is probably the one I'm going to be using, is much appreciated. Internally, instructions are very busy. They start rather unusually with the doghouse. Now that is certainly something I won't be building at the start. I will do this in a more conventional manner and work from the bottom up, mainly due to the large number of fragile sticky out bits on the doghouse initially. But there's nothing really scary there. So it really does guide you through the actual construction process in a very clear, logical manner. Say no internal details, so everything you've got is for external, including this rather complicated looking arrangement on the top. Now they do actually give you a little jig to fold that as well, so instructions on how to do that. So yeah, it's all very good. I say really do like this kit. But now let's go and have a look at the tracks. So here we have a quick look at my workbench. I do apologise for the cluttered appearance. I don't really have a lot of room here, so I'm kind of supporting the tripod. But we're going to have a look at the tracks now. Now you do get 7 sprues of tracks, and each one containing 36 parts. One disappointment part is that it doesn't actually tell you how many tracks you need on each side. I think it's 108, looking at the AFV Club kit. So I'll have to report at that when we get the full build done. They are moulded in what they call PS plastic. PS plastic is dark grey and harder than the tan plastic. Actually is a pleasure to work with. Now I've actually been playing with this for about 10 minutes before I started filming, so I'll show you what I've done so far. So here we have the tracks. The tracks have 3 runners into them, 2 at the back and 1 at the front. There is no sign of any simp marks in there. It's all looking really very good. Now, if you use something like a Xuron cutter, which is my preferred tool for removing these kind of tracks, you can actually get really tight in and no further cleanup is needed. So having something like a Xuron side cutter is a real benefit here. Though not essential, having a tool like this is quite handy. It's specifically designed for doing tracks. Now the one I've got is long out of production. There are many manufacturers make these types of tools which are adjustable. They hold your tracks in nice and tight. Make sure you get a nice straight run. Of course it is actually possible quite easily to dummy something like this up out of wood, but these cast metal versions, if you build a lot of separate link tracks, I really would recommend. Now let's have a look at the actual tracks themselves. So here we go into the detail. As I say, beautifully cast. Really simple to assemble. All we literally do is get some of the Tamiya clear glue, run that into each one of the little recesses, and then just push the tracks together and leave to dry. Really is as simple as that. I'm reckoning that assembling this whole set of 108 tracks per side won't take you more than about 40 minutes. The fit is just perfect, the glue dries tough. Now here we have a set that I did about 10 minutes ago. So we'll just pull these out of the jig. So these are now with Tamiya super thin cement, and that's actually dried near enough rock solid, but that does still have enough give in it that I can shape them, which I would do to get them around the strive sprockets. And then just a little bit more of the glue to reinforce that, and then paint. Really simple, quick, easy. Whoever's scared of separate link tracks, these would be a really good one to start with because they are just really nice. Painting, track colour, then the visible pads will obviously be in something like Tamiya NATO Black, and maybe you want to distress them up a bit to here. They're nice and clean and shiny with no scarring, which won't be typical. Distressing, easy. 120 grit sandpaper, really harsh sandpaper, just rub them across it and you'll get a nice scarring effect. Okay, that's it. So there we have it. That's my look at the Tiger Models IDF Nagmachon. Tomorrow I'm hoping that I'll do a similar type of preview of the AMX 10 RCR, which Tiger Models also released, of which I also managed to gain a copy of. Now, as I pointed out, I am not an expert modeller on armour. I normally do aircraft. For my level of armour building, this looks brilliant. It really is just a beautiful kit. The parts I've played with so far fit together well. I'm looking forward to trying that part with the drone, or the R2D2 unit, as I keep calling it, on the top, the sensors bowl. You know, everything looks just so easy and simple to build. I will want to source an Israeli flag though, because I do quite like that large battle flag streaming from the back of it. Okay, now if all goes to plan, A review and build will follow in a future issue of Scale Military Modeller International from Sam Publications. Thank you for watching my video.